6-month state of emergency declared by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu amidst a bitter power tussle with his predecessor. Now reinstated, many wonder if he's a governor in title only or someone somewhere is pressing the buttons behind the scenes. FCT Minister Nyesom Wike insists he won't interfere in Fubara's cabinet choices, but critics say the real power lies elsewhere, with his loyalists dominated the legislature and key state structures. Join us this morning for this discussion is the Honourable Commissioner for Environment in River State, Honourable Tambari Sydney Gbara. A warm welcome to you, Honourable Sydney Gbara. Thanks for joining us on Breakfast Central.
Thank you for having me. Good morning, Nigeria.
Now, let's start with the return of the governor. What's the mood like in River State, and how has he been welcomed? And can you also tell us about the temperament, the state of mind of Governor Siminal Fubara as we speak?
It was very, very heartwarming for the entire youth and the people of River State on Thursday 18th, when the state of emergency and the suspension of the governor was lifted by Mr. President. We saw an unprecedented crowd of people who besieged the government house and the way to the government house. In fact, it was like a pandemonium, what I say. Though there were no crises, everywhere was peaceful, but it was full of fanfare. People came out en masse to, show gratitude to God and to equally thank the President, Mr. President, for lifting the state of emergency, because it was a horrifying period. It was a dark period. It was a time of serious retrogression for the entire Rivers people within this period, because they already had a governance that was in place, that was taking step by step, blow by blow, dishing out people's oriented projects and programs that were having very, very direct bearing to the people. People were feeling the impact from the word go, So having an abrupt stop suddenly was a source of concern to everybody in the state. Within the period, let me just chronicle a little. Just in the side of the civil servants, within the period, civil servants have never been promoted for the previous administration. Let me say over 16 years or thereabout. The governor effected that and made sure that all their emoluments, all their money due them for the new position accrued over this period of time of over 16 years plus were paid to them. He ensured that the pensioners were paid their money. He ensured that the youths too were engaged properly through a partnership with the Bank of Industry, where about 5 billion naira was put in place to promote and to support small-scale and medium-scale businesses, in the state. I just want to mention this too. I don't want to talk about projects that has to do with brick and mortar. I just want to talk about that has direct bearing with the people. Mr. Governor has equally approved the renovation of 135 health centers across the state. And we all know that primary health care is that which has direct bearing with the people. These are the first government health facilities that are in the communities. So he has done things that has touched. In fact, the area of employment, we saw him employing over 5,000 medical doctors to man these health centers, and equally employed other health workers, to ensure proper and effective healthcare management, not just taking care of the facility, but ensuring that the required manpower, were in place. So we can see that he was doing things quietly that were getting direct to the people. These are not things that you need to know a politician to benefit from. These are things you just sit down in your house and they'll come to you. At least I forget the Nolgi the local government employees were not left out. You know, he ensured that this largesse and this magnanimity were equally extended to them, you know, as well. You know, so the people were, it was like, you know, putting everybody in a cage, and you watch your whole time and suffer and everything going, you know, away. So it was a dark age for Rivers people. I can put it that within the period of emergency rule, but upon the end by Mr. President, you know, brought joy. And I can tell you that the atmosphere ever since 18 in Rivers State has been wonderful. Life has jacked back to Rivers State once more. The next day, 19th on Friday, was when he finally arrived at Port Harcourt, and he need to see the motorcade of individuals that thronged the airport to welcome him and escorted him to the government house, you know, where he took over governance. So it's a feeling of nostalgia for the people here, and the people are very, very happy. And I know that much is equally expected of the governor now that he has taken over. And so we are watching events through that, but it's a man that has gained the confidence of the people. And so the people have confidence in him, you know, that he knows what to do, and he will do what he knows best for the people. Now that he's back.
Let's now take the conversation to, I mean, we hear all that you've said about the stability that has returned to the state and how the River State citizens are glad to have the emergency rule lifted. One key player in all of this is the former governor, the FCT Minister Nyesom Wike. Would you say that he has totally relinquished control in the state, or the, you know, before now we could see where he would complain or he would speak about his structure being tampered with? Would you say that he will completely relinquish control under Governor Siminal Fubara will be allowed to govern in the way that he deems fit?
Of course, you know, what we are playing is politics. And you know that before the emergency rule was lifted, Mr. President gave, you know, a room for discussions and engagements among the warring parties, meaning the governor, the state assembly, and the FCT minister too. And so there were a lot of engagements, there were a lot of consultations, there were a lot of meetings, and finally they all agreed, you know, they came to an agreement point, and now went to Mr. President. And I think Mr. President having, you know, reviewed the situation and their body language and their presentation was very, very satisfied that, yes, indeed, these people have decided to share the sword and to, you know, work with one another for the progress of the state. And so, and recently, the FCT minister was equally on air to say that he wouldn't interfere into the governance of River State by interfere with what the governor will be doing in the state.
You know, this was said before. You know that the FCT minister said the same thing before, and unfortunately, there was an interference. So why is this situation different from the earlier one?
Well, I think the reason why I would say this situation is different from the earlier one is that I think maybe previously there weren't enough engagement and discussions, but I think exhaustively the both parties have sat down, and the individuals have sat down, and everybody has itemized, drawn their lines, and agreed to move on. So I think there will be mutual respect, and for the interest of River State, giving peace a chance. You know, because you have to give peace a chance for peace to prevail. That is why they say give peace a chance. And for the interest of the states, I think the parties have decided to give peace a chance. And I think for this time, we should be able to hold him to his words, except he proves otherwise. But I think for this time, we should be able to hold him to his words that he's going to give his necessary support to the governor, rather, instead of bringing unnecessary interference that will further truncate the governance of His Excellency Siminal Fubara. because that will spell doom for Rivers State. If there are any more interferences this time around, that will spell doom for the governor, because he needs all the concentration, having lost 6 good months. And you know, when you have a program that was already a program of governance that was already on auto drive and it's been truncated, it's taken aback. Like a colleague said on the day he arrived in his press interview, that Rivers State has been taking 60 years behind. So the governor needs all the concentration, all the tactics, you know, all the articulation that he needs to ensure that if in the first place, you know, kickstarts all the governance structure of the state, put them in proper perspective, and kick off, hit the ground running immediately without any delay. And so anybody that loves Rivers State, anybody that wants the interest of the state to move forward, should be able to, you know, understand the fact that this governor needs all the concentration that he needs to be able to put the state forward. Because any attempt to distract him, or, you know, through unnecessary interferences, we are not saying that the governor is far from, you know, getting advices from elder statesmen, you know, that will help him. That is what we need. We need advices from the FCT minister, being a former governor, on what and how to go about it to make things easy for him, but not the kind of interferences that will, you know, truncate the activities of government, because that will smell doom for us. So we expect that the governor will run the state, you know, free of any of such encumbrances.
Now, Honorable Gbara, the State House of Assembly resumed plenary on Friday, and they hit the ground running. They did discuss some matters concerning the state. And one of such matters was the looking at the administration of the sole administrator, is 6 months in office, and they said that they will be probing that. Do you have any inklings if the governor is in support of that, or if it's or if that is one of the things his government will be looking at doing as he has resumed office?
Well, I wouldn't be able to tell if the governor will want to, you know, spend his time on that, you know, because like we said earlier, he needs to hit the ground running. And if we are saying he shouldn't be distracted, he himself shouldn't be the one to go and look for a distraction himself, you know. Whatever has happened, and the state needs to move on. So, well, however, is of his own decision to know if he's going to do that with the State Assembly. Yeah, that's the position of the Assembly, and they have a right, you know, to demand for that. Because as a people, and as Rivers people that they are, they probably must have seen a lot of things that have gone wrong, you know, within the period of which they want to ensure that the sole administrator is brought to book, or to explain, you know, to Rivers people how that happened. So I think I will leave it for the governor and the speaker of the Rivers State House of Assembly to, now that he has taken over and has will resume, to sit down and look at it, look at the merits and demerits of going into, you know, that exercise, and then they will tell us. Our own is to give them our necessary supports in whatever they want to do to ensure that they do it well, and in such a manner that it does not affect, you know, the developmental programs for Rivers State.
All right. There have also been speculations here and there about the potential of some appointments that have been made by the sole administrator, asking that the governor revisits these appointments and ensure that, you know, he maybe sets up his own personal appointment and ignore the one, or terminate the appointments made by the sole administrator. Is that a pathway that you would advise?
Yeah, I think constitutionally, those appointments that were suspended by the sole administrator brought a lot of outcry by Rivers people, because we know that the mandate that was given to the sole administrator was to restore peace and not to start dabbling into constitutional issues. But however, he did that. And now that he has left and the governor has resumed power, I think it will resume tomorrow. We'll need to wait and see what the governor will do in respect to those appointments, because those people that were appointed by the sole administrator, met with a lot of outcry. But however, we'll leave it to the governor to, decide, and handle that.
Now, Honorable Gbara, local government elections were held in the absence, during the suspension of Governor Fubara, and the results that emerged gave APC an overwhelming majority in the state. Will this have any effect on Governor Fubara's plans and governance in the state moving forward, knowing that the local government areas in the state are in the hands of the opposition, APC?
Yeah, politics, party politics is on one hand, and yet we have individuals who make up this party politics. Those individuals who were elected to man the offices at the third tier of governance in Rivers State are Rivers people. And in politics, we say change is the most permanent thing in politics. Today, they are APC, and the governor is PDP. So moving forward, I think it won't be much of a problem for the governor, because he's a man that has, a very large heart to accommodate and to relate with people no matter the circumstance. He has a way of maneuvering political challenges or hurdles. So I think now that he is back, he will have an interface with the chairman, and I think they will work together despite the party differences. They will work together. After all, some of the local governments are still of PDP, so they will work together. I think it won't be of any problem for the governor. Mind you, from the beginning of this crisis, the governor said and told Nigerians that no sacrifice is too much for him to make for peace to return to Rivers State. And a lot of people thought he was just making a political statement. Maybe he was just trying to, get sentiment, from the people. But we can see that over the years, over the months, for all the activities that have gone on in Rivers State, he has been consistent and has shown this through his dominion that it's just peace that he wants, nothing more, nothing less. And so, having demonstrated such maturity, having demonstrated such love and interest for Rivers State to move on, having demonstrated, such calmness and a rare leadership virtue of being so accommodating, I think somebody being in another political party will not be an issue for him to work with that person at all. So we are going to see a good collaboration between the states and the third tier of governance in the state, except maybe for some individuals who might decide not to, cooperate with the governor. But I don't see that happening. I see everybody putting their hands on deck to ensure that true governance and true democracy, kickstarts in Rivers State and gets to the people as soon as possible.
You sound very positive and assertive, and you're focused on a new beginning in Rivers State. Even with the majority of local government chairmen in the opposition, you still feel, they can have a compromise and a way of working forward. Next year is a penultimate year to general elections, and 2027, it's been in the political discourse for quite some time now. Do you know, because I remember during the state of emergency, and your principal spoke, he said, don't you say I look good? Do you think I'm really, he sounded quite defeated, and he sounded tired, that he sounded overwhelmed with the politicking and the drama. Do you know if your principal will be seeking re-election in 2027?
Please.
Oh, my question is this. I asked if you have any information as to whether your principal, Governor Siminal Fubara, will be seeking re-election in 2027. Because during the state of emergency, he spoke about his moods,
his spirit not being there anymore.
Spirit not being there anymore. So do you think he will just run out this term and, call it quits?
Yeah, well, I will not be able to speak for him, in respect to that, because we know that he has gone through a lot already, and what should be paramount right now is how he can kickstart, get the state back on track, and conclude his the good works he has started in River State, successfully, to the glory of God. So talking about 2027 right now, for me, I think shouldn't be what should be at the front burner. What should be at the front burner is how to kickstart the governance, how to ensure that the speed to which governance was at pace in geometric progression that it was at before the emergency rule, the governance is taken to that. And then when it gets to 2027, I know that the politics of 2027 will begin next year, meaning 2026.
Are you sure it hasn't begun already? At this point, yes. I think I'm inclined to believe that the politics has begun already. Honorable Sydney Gbara.
Well, of course. So I think when it gets to that time, the governor will be able to let us know what his next line of action will be. So I wouldn't want to dwell on that.
All right. Honorable Tambari Sydney Gbara, thank you for joining us this morning on Breakfast Central. Wish the Rivers people the best of governance and politics in this season.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.